very excited for tonight because we are going over, wait for it, Nightmare on motherfucking Elm Street. And I know most of you are probably being like, bitch, no, that is not a true story. But it is based off of a true story, which is very exciting because we're getting into the spooky. So, first, let's talk about the 1984 Wes Craven classic, Nightmare on Elm Street. This movie is older than me, and you can tell when you watch it.
Yeah, but that's what I love.
It is so good.
That's
I will say, obviously, most of it's practical effects because it's such an old movie, and they still kind of hold up. There are some where you're like, wow, guys, that was creative. But there are other effects where you're like, that's a good one, like the infamous bloody room.
yeah. Yeah,
Love
yeah.
that.
B was asking me, he what did he say? He asked me like how I felt about it. I feel like it held up. And I was like, look, man, when you're talking about horror movies, that's such like a lightning in the bottle time frame. Like
Yeah.
you have Freddy, Nightmare on Elm Street, you have the original Michael Myers, the original Scream, the original Jason. Like these original like teenage slasher films are just they were so good and they did such a good job of like yeah, it was all practical effects and they all looked wild as shit. But it's like capturing like the teenage essence from that time and even a little bit like from our time. Like I was born in 91, so almost 10 years, but even me growing up as like a kid before the internet or anything, it still feels like I could jump in there and maybe my phone would be like a little smaller. And that's pretty much it. Like it captures like the teenage and preteen like essence. And then the Final Girls, dog, I would lay down my life for Final Girls. And there has not been anyone, any movie maker, any time after that that's been able to capture the essence of the slasher films and the Final Girls. Like
Yeah.
I you can't do it. It was such a like moment that you can't recreate it. Even with them
Yeah, they
continuing
can't.
the
Yeah.
Scream franchise,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, the newer Scream movies, we haven't seen the brand new one, but the newer ones are pretty good. But it's still not it's
They
just
don't give you that feel. Which I will
no.
say, watching these movies, it is such a weird feeling too, because I think a lot, it's clearly a different time. Like, so
Yeah.
there are a lot of the things in the movie where, like, we're gonna go over where you're gonna be sitting there going, the fuck is happening right now? Like, but it's like this movie scared the shit out of my mom because she was that teenager.
Yeah, mine
That
too.
was her life. Like,
Yeah.
if she related to that so much, so it's just, it is funny because it's like it's still a good movie for my generation. It's still a great movie, but it's not scary to
Gotta
me.
be
You
lady.
know, get out of the camera. We're recording,
No,
sir.
no, I don't want.
This is unprofessional.
You're unwelcome.
Like
You're you're a mean lady too.
get out of here.
But it is like, it's still a classic. It's still a movie I would want to watch, even though it doesn't scare me in any way. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's still it's a good story, you know?
Right. And yeah,
So,
and like you said, it's all practical effects.
oh
And
yeah.
like
But you
they're
have
not
to appreciate it.
scary. They're not
Yeah,
scary, but at the same time, it's like, damn, I can't believe they pulled that off with like a bucket of jello. Like,
right? Right? Like a whole team went into this. So when we start the movie, you first start in a little screen because back in these days, we had to get the captions before the movie. So, not the captions, the credits before the movie.
yeah,
So during the credit scenes, you're getting him making his glove, and then that kind of goes straight into we get a girl running down a hallway, and she's in a nightie. It's a wet hallway for some. She's like in a sewer type situation, and this I found funny just because as she's running down, why is there a goat? Like she's like, and then meh.
And there's a goat.
Why was the goat involved in this?
I'm sure there's
Doesn't
some
make
reason.
sense. Like,
There's got to be some reason that we
she's
just
not a farmer.
don't know. That's
But
such a
then,
funny thing.
Like, then she's like in this boiler room. It looks kind of like, just reminds me of like a bottom of the Titanic, you know, like bottom of the ship boiler room area. And we get our first glimpses of Freddie, and she gets cut, but she wakes up screaming, and she still has the cuts in her shirt, right? And her mom walking in with the hair all messed up, like clearly just had sex. And the guy even comes up, hey baby, come on. Like,
so weird.
and then she's like, look, hun, you're gonna have to cut your nails or stop dreaming. You gotta pick one. I was like, there's the motherly support we all need. Jesus. And that made me sad because, like, I would watch that and think that's so ironic. Like, they're doing that as a bit because moms don't act like that. But it was like, no, that's how they parented back.
A certain generation.
That was exactly how they parented back then. Any teenager would watch that and been like, yeah, that's my mom. I do that.
Yeah.
It's sad.
That was my mom. My mom was not like, she wasn't sex positive at all.
Yeah.
But the being like, look, you gotta fucking get it together. You gotta figure this out. I'm going back to sleep. That was my mom.
I will say my mom at least did do better than that. But I did have a short leash of like, here, it's okay. Okay, but now you're doing too much. You're getting too sensitive.
Right, too emotional. Like, shut the fuck up.
Right. So we found out this is Tina, and she goes to school, and this is when we see her whole friend group. So you have young Johnny Depp, the jock, his goody two shoes girlfriend, and then Tina's boyfriend is apparently the leather jacket wearing asshole.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like the goth, the metalhead before.
Yeah.
They really wanted to put metalheads in movies. Yeah.
Right. And he's the bad boy of the group.
Yeah.
And
they're in a fight, right?
Yeah, she and her boyfriend are fighting. He says some jerky shit, and then I thought I wrote it down exactly what he said because she was like, "Oh, kick rocks," and he said something that was just so cheesy, like, "Oh, it could have been in the movie Grease with how fucking cheeseball it was," but I did not write it down. So then you jump to the scene, like, they kind of establish he's the dick, and they're talking about it. Tina's really freaked out. She's like, there's this guy in my dreams, and then her friend is like, oh, I have bad dreams too. And then Johnny Depp's like, you just gotta realize you're dreaming and wake up. And then
just lucid dream.
For some reason in this scene, like, while these girls are kind of like, it's okay, and the one girl's super freaked out, like, you can just see Johnny just like getting that hand in the neck, like, no, I'm gonna kiss you soon. Like, look at me.
Yeah.
Make out
pay attention to me, bro. Get the fuck off of me. Like,
and it just feels like a very like unnecessary kiss. And like,
I can see that though. Like, I've dated dudes that were like that. They were just like, we'll solve it by smushing our faces together. And I'm like, no.
It was just like the ultimate dismissal of the situation of being like, yeah, cool, handle your dreams. I need to make out with my girlfriend now. So
just lucid dream, bro.
Yeah.
Just know, get a sword. Get a big sword. Fight him off.
This is where you kind of realize, because even the way he said that, he doesn't admit to having a bad dream. So they even go, wait, did you have a bad dream? And he doesn't respond. But in this, you're kind of realizing they're all having bad dreams. Like, this is the first hint of that. So then you jump to, they're now at Tina's house because she's too afraid to sleep alone. And her mom went to Vegas with her boyfriend. Different time.
I don't know. As someone who also goes to Vegas with her boyfriend a lot. But at least my kid
your daughter doesn't stay home alone, does she?
No, she goes with her dad.
This is where the different times it comes in.
Like, I know.
It's not that she went.
Also, my kid is 10, so like.
Yeah, well, very true. I will give it to her. These kids are, I'm going to assume, like 16, 17.
Something like that.
They're definitely
Yeah.
in high school, and they don't play it like they're seniors. I think they're somewhere in that range.
Right.
But so I can't fully say like, oh, I'd feel weird leaving a 16-year-old home alone because you know they're gonna fucking party. Like,
Yeah, that's where there have to be rules around partying. Like, if
yeah,
you're gonna come to the house and party, if the cops get called, or someone gets into a fight, or there's a hole in my fucking wall, or there's any drugs besides weed, I will kick your fucking ass when I get home.
right.
Like, don't.
Just
There's
know
gonna be a
I'm not
party.
there, so I can't bail you out. So don't get the cops called.
You'll have to
and then
wait.
you're fucked.
You'll have to wait till we get
I'm
home.
not coming back for your ass. So I love the ingenuity here though, because so of course Nancy, the friend, is allowed to sleep over at Tina's. They're girls, but the boyfriend, Johnny Depp's character, wants to sleep over too. So he has the giant boombox, and they're like, "How are you gonna get your mom to believe you?" And he's like, "I got a sound tape."
Yeah,
And he
a
puts
different
it in, and it has
sound.
sound effects. He's like, "My cousin lives next to an airport. Don't even worry about it." So he gets his mom on the phone, and he plays the airport sound. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's super loud here." And then it starts going into all types of effects, like car crash and stuff. And he's like, "Oh,
Somebody's
it's the
fighting.
neighbors." And she's like trying to push buttons for him and making it worse. Like,
Yeah, that
I'm
was
like,
funny.
why wouldn't you just hang up at that point? Like, it's a weird situation. Like,
Yeah,
and then like get things quiet and then call her back so she's not like freaking out. But you know, like,
and his mom's like telling her like call the police.
right?
Like, there's that bad of a car crash.
Over there.
Our kids could never. We got GPSs in your pockets.
Oh, I know, right? Oh, you're sleeping over whose house again? Because you're definitely not at that address. I can see that, sir.
And if you turn off your location, I will come find you. And I will embarrass the shit out of you.
Don't even try that. This was definitely a, like, back
I mean,
then,
latchkey kids.
you could get away with so much. You just had to be a little creative about it. Where I think kids these days, I don't know, maybe they have to learn how to be even more creative, but because we have even more eyes to watch them. But there is, I feel like there's a sense of creativity that's kind of lost in that now with kids these days. Because one, I don't think they even want to go out like that, to like each other's houses. It's all FaceTime now.
And yeah, my kid could not care less.
Yeah, no. Even my nieces and nephews who are teens, like they will go to sleepovers, but I was gone like all the fucking time. Once I hit like 14, poof. Anybody's house I can get to, I was fucking going to. I had boys picking me up in cars, like I was gone. It's so weird to me to see my nieces and nephews in that age range, and they're just kind of like, "Yeah, I'm home. What's up?" Like, yeah, go like on my phone upstairs, you know, like, yeah. But they have friends. They do have friends. They go out sometimes, but it's just so funny to see the difference of it.
Yeah,
you know?
No, Firefly has better toys here and at her dad's house than she could get at her friend. Her friends don't have a PS5 or a fucking gaming computer. They don't have that shit. She don't. No, they're playing Roblox on like they're literally playing Roblox together, and the kids are like on their iPads, and Firefly is on this. She's on this setup. This whole.
She's like, I just built a whole town, guys. What are you guys doing? My blocks are glitching.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We went to when we had to fly home back in the summer or right after school started, she's been playing Genshin Impact, and she downloaded it onto her iPad to play at the airport. And at the time she didn't have data on it, so she was playing off of the airport's free Wi-Fi, and she got so upset. She looked at me and she said, "This frame rate, this FPS is garbage." In the airport. And I was like, I didn't even know you knew what that meant.
No. What? Max will come and say shit like that to me too. Like, what year is my tablet, Mom? It's the rate, it's glitching, and I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you, bud. Like, I know how it works.
I know. And now, like, she wanted to download Genshin Impact onto my computer, and I have so much stuff because every game I play is modded to hell and back. I don't play vanilla games, so it's full. And I was like, I looked at her and I was like, dog, your Uncle Pickles is gonna have to help us to upgrade this before you can play your game, because I'm not deleting my mod.
Right. I had to get on Big O because he was I I did let him put BMG Drive up here, and I'd come up and he'd have like 200 mods on there. I was like, boy, you get 20. I do not have that kind of hard drive happening here.
No, you have to. My mods come first. I paid for it, so, and I'm not deleting Dragon Age, so you're gonna have to.
Yeah, Fallout's not going anywhere. None of them.
Right.
So don't even try it. Or Sims. They will always be on this computer.
Oh, Sims. Don't even talk to me about Sims. I don't even know what vanilla game looks like in Sims anymore. I have no idea. My mods folder, I'm going to have to get a hard drive, a separate hard drive just for Sims and the mods, because
Honestly.
it takes up so much space. Anyway, we got way off.
This is way off course. Veer back. We got to veer back. So they're at the sleepover. He's made the call. They hear like a knocking at the windows.
Right, which is
And
creepy. Don't do that.
Right. But of course, in true classic slasher film, we got to go outside and see what happened. You got to go find the sound. You have to.
Don't even get me started. Southern people don't act like this. We are not raised like this. We don't go outside.
I was not either. I'm only kind of Southern. I'm city Southern, but like
adjacent. You're Southern
right.
adjacent.
I'm Southern adjacent. What I tell people when I moved up to the mountains, because they were country Southern, and I was like, look, man, I'm Southern, but I'm not country, and there is a difference.
Oh, see, and I'm even worse. I'm Appalachian. If you want to get real technical, we're on the end of the Appalachia.
Yeah, you're like
range. We don't. No, unless your farm animals are being mauled to death, we are not going outside.
And even then, it's kind of like, we'll check it in the morning, see what
how
happens.
many of them are they winning? And then you let the dogs out first. Like you let the dog will take care of it. If it sounds like he's losing, then
but
maybe get the shotgun.
With us city folk, it's make sure all doors are locked, make sure those curtains are closed, stay away from the windows.
Yep.
Let's not investigate.
Yep. We don't care. So, that's none of our business.
Of course the kids go outside. The girls push the boy in front. And he once again says some super cheesy shit like, all right, who's out there? I'm gonna give you a real roundhouse.
Yeah, so stupid.
And once again, this is one of those moments where if you're a younger generation, you're gonna go, wow, that was a really ironic, funny thing to say. Nope, that's how they talk. That was that threatening speak your daddy was giving out to folks.
Corny. But no, your granddaddy more like you're almost your granddaddy or your older uncle. That was and they thought they were so badass.
Oh, so bad. Well, so of course it turns out it's bad boy. He's hiding in the bushes, jumps out, scares everyone. And then this is where it gets creepy. It heads straight into creepy because bad boy wants his girl for the night. And she's like, you know, like they're having a tit for tat moment, and then he's like, and we're going inside, and just drags her away. And then she comes running back and she's like, Nancy, don't leave. I don't want to be stuck with this lunatic. And he grabs her by the mouth and pulls her away. Now she's giggling and they definitely make up or whatever, but it is like just a moment of, oh God, like, no. That did not age well. No, I would be so pissed if my boys did that to a girl. Like, no. But this does set up because Nancy goes and gets some, and you hear it in all its glory.
They're so fucking loud,
right? Johnny Depp's character is pissed because he ain't getting shit. Nancy has locked it down. She is a child of God. Okay.
Well, at least she has the courtesy not to do it, one, in someone else's house, and two, with apparently paper thin walls.
Yeah. Which I do love. I love how Tina's making all that noise. She's going nuts. He's grunting. She's grunting.
She's faking that shit.
But when you would expect, because at least in today's TV, when that kind of noise is being made, they at least make it seem like they've been tussling. And there's
it's like more aggressive
moment, like where you don't know what position they were in. It's just a fallback. We were doing crazy shit. In this one, he just rolls off her. Yeah. You know, that was the blandest.
She has never once had an orgasm from that man.
No,
never once has he given her an orgasm. Like, absolutely not.
She's vocally
absolutely not
there, but there's no fucking way.
It's a performance.
There's no way. Yeah.
She's performing. That's
I'm
it. For
not
his ego.
saying- Yeah. I'm not saying it's not possible to orgasm in that position. Sure, going slow, things can happen, but not
But
that.
the way they were
Not
yelling.
the noises they were making. That was not what you would expect. So Nancy goes to sleep, and now not Nancy, Tina goes to sleep, and now we're back in her dream world. And so she starts hearing her dream world doesn't go back to the boiler room, it's still her house. But you know it's the dream world because there's fog when they're screaming. So she's hearing the knocks on the windows again, and pebbles are being thrown, and one even breaks the window. And she's like, so what does she do? Go outside naked. Not fully naked. She does put a shirt on, but no shoes, no pants, no pantalones.
Just
And she just walks out to the alley. Like she didn't even like stay in her backyard. She just
pussy out in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and it is playing like that. She doesn't realize she's sleeping. So this would be your decision. This is a terrible decision. I hear noises in my backyard. Let me go greet them naked.
And there's 2 other dudes in the house that I don't even attempt to be like, hey, this is literally the only thing you're good for.
I would immediately be like beating the shit out of Jay. Like,
oh, me too. Oh, B would have been up before me. B is the lightest sleeper in the world. He would have woke up way before I did. He would have came back to bed afterwards and been like, you need to wake up. Like,
it's Jay's deep as fuck. Like, but I would beat the shit out of him until he got out of bed. I'm like, I'm scared. You gotta be awake now too.
Get up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So she goes out naked, and she does run into Freddie. Oh, he comes mildly. Down the alley. She's in the alley, and this is where you get some just great. His arms are supposed to be super long.
Yeah, like he's like stretch down the alley,
doing the screeching sound with his nails.
Yeah.
But it's his arms are off, and then she's like, and goes to run, and then the way he runs is just like
like he's having the best time. It's the best time of his life.
The best time of his life. He's just like, oh, you're gonna die tonight. Like, yeah. Just galloping after her. They end up in the room. They're tussling. This is when the boyfriend does wake up, and Tina's screaming. She's flying on the wall. Blood is flying, and he's like, "Who's in here?" And she's on the ceiling.
Like, he doesn't try to do anything. He doesn't try to grab her. He doesn't try to. He just goes
in the corner like, "What the fuck is happening?" Like, yeah. So then the whole
from the
house
corner of the room.
Yeah. He totally bitches out. He makes no effort to save her life. So then the friends are woken up because she's still screaming. She's now dead. Like, plops down, dead.
I think the door was locked or something, right? Did they lock the door? Yeah,
the door was like, so the friends are banging on the door and they finally get in. He's out the window. He's gone. Blood everywhere. She's super dead.
Yep.
And this is where they're now at the police station. You find out her dad is the head detective of their small town.
Nancy's dad is the head detective. Dad. Yeah.
And I love the way he came in, not even looking at Nancy going, what were you doing? To the mother. Why was she there, bitch? Like, you know.
And they're divorced. Like, obviously they're divorced.
Oh, yeah.
His immediate, why was she at her house?
Oh, yeah.
This is a teenager. And this is obviously not a school night. What do you.
Well, yeah. And she was at her girlfriend's house. Like, her having
a sleepover rager.
Like crazy of a notion, you know. But I did think, I mean, he came in hot on that mom, hot on her heels. So Nancy's like, she knew she was gonna die. She talked about it. She was having bad dreams, and the dad's just like, yeah, well, we're gonna find the boyfriend, of course, because he fucking did it. So then the next morning she wakes up and the mom's like, where are you going? And she's like, oh, I'm going to school. I want to stay fucking busy. I don't want to just sit here going nutty. Right. So she ends up, she sees someone following her, and then she gets tugged into a bush, and it's the bad boyfriend. And then all the cops rein in.
Swarming. Yeah.
She's like, oh, did you kill her? And he's like, no, I didn't fucking kill her. And he's still covered in blood too. Like,
where's he been? Where'd you go?
Hiding in a bush this whole time, apparently. So the cops come in and Nancy's like, you had me followed, you used me. And the dad's like, but you're safe. So
duh.
You're welcome.
What else is an 80s cop's gonna do other than follow his own kid?
right? So then she's huffy, she walks away, she just goes to school, and in class she ends up falling asleep. And can I just say, I was watching the scene, Nancy has curly hair. None of the curly hair, even in the classroom, if you look at all their hair. Now I know big hair was a thing in the 80s. Obviously, defined curls weren't really a thing. It was just like make it big, brush it back. But Nancy's hair is not even styled that way. You can just tell they just didn't fucking take care of their curls at all. Like they just brushed it out.
Oh no, in the
and
80s,
then
no.
left. Like
No, they
it makes
didn't.
me so sad because I'm just like, I bet your hair would just be like fucking glorious. Like,
Well, no, in the
if
80s,
you
no, they didn't. They
no,
did not take
it
care
just makes me
of their
sad. I
hair. It
don't
was
think they
all
knew what
Aquanet.
curls even were. Like,
Well, they knew, but it was like they didn't they didn't appreciate the curls at all. And
yeah,
curls were kind of seen like the really tight curls were seen as like more like a black people or a Latina people thing, and they were the only ones taking care of their curls. That's why we know anything about curl care in the 21st
oh
century
yeah,
is because of them teaching everybody else how to take care of their curls. But that was separate. Like white people, it was Aquanet and bristle brushes, and you just
yeah,
brush that shit out. I know
the
because
only
my,
option.
my biological mom had really curly hair, and it took her until I was like 16 for her to actually attempt to take care of it without just brushing it out every day.
I know, but what's so crazy is this was also a time period where perms were a huge thing. So it's like, so you put fake curls in your hair to just
But
brush them
then,
out. What
well,
was
if you had a
the point?
perm, if you had a perm, you weren't brushing it out as often as like someone with like naturally curly or like my hair is really big. Like
Yeah,
my hair gets big, but it's not very curly. It's more wavy. But if I take a normal brush and I brush it through my hair, it looks like that. It looks like it separates and it like becomes like a lion's mane
yeah,
because you're brushing it with a normal and you're brushing it dry. You're pouring a freaking aerosol cans worth of Aquanet onto it. And that's all that you're doing. So like even for me, I have to use kind of like a curly girl routine if I want my natural wavy hair to look good. Back then they weren't doing that shit, and they would go and the people that would get perms and they would last for a couple of months and then they just damage the shit out of them. And then
oh,
they go back and they get a
right.
perm again.
And then perms are kind of coming back. I'm
Oh,
like, don't do
yeah.
that. Don't bring
Listen,
them back.
perms never left. Don't get me started on perms. My dad and my stepmom used to be Pentecostal, and for being, don't be vain and don't cut your hair and don't wear
Was
makeup
your
and only
dad
wear
getting
skirts,
perms?
bullshit. No, but all of the girls, I'm listen to me. 8 out of 10 girls that you see that are Pentecostal or holiness or super hardcore Baptist and they have curly hair,
It's
it's a
perms.
fucking perm.
I was
Every
really
time.
hoping you were gonna say my dad had the greatest mullet and he just permed the fuck out of that shit.
Yeah. Hold on. He did. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Okay, while she's running away, I will.
I'm literally right back here. So this is my favorite picture of my dad ever, and I'm the only one in the family who has a copy of it. He doesn't even have a copy of it. He hates it. He absolutely hates that I have this, and I refuse to get rid of it, and it hangs up in my home. This is my dad. You see the little wisp back there?
Oh
That was
yeah.
when my grandma made him get like a trim of his mullet when
Oh yeah.
he was getting his senior pictures, and his hair is naturally very curly. So imagine this longer and curly on its own. He didn't need a perm. It's already majestic.
Yeah. Well, that's what my dad. I grew up. My dad and my stepmom had the mullet with the curls
Yeah.
like that, and they would braid. They were motorcycle people, so they
Uh,
with the leather jacket and the braid with the earring. Like,
I love it so much. I love it. But yes, anytime.
so back. Gotta get back on track. uh, so she dead.
Mhm. He runs away.
Oh.
The dad catches him.
Oh, I forgot to put in when she was doing the scene where she's crying at the cop place, and she's like, and they're like, "Wow, you really aren't taking this death seriously, Nancy." And she's like, "I am taking the death seriously. How could you say that?" She has the worst cry face. Like,
Awful.
oh my God. I really want to, like,
Awful.
you got a punchable cry face. Like, you make me want to go violent.
Yeah, you're so annoying.
Yeah, it's a really bad cry face. So, now I went into random notes where I'm like, shit, what was I talking about? Look, I said that tiny ass bum. What was that supposed to mean?
Right? What?
Oh, she falls asleep in class. So after
Yeah.
the dad takes her friend, she just goes straight to class. She falls asleep in class. And at first, and this scene I do question, like, at first did she realize she was dreaming or not? Because she sees her friend in the body bag being like, Nancy. And I'm like, I would immediately be like, nope. I don't see you standing there. Nope, not Nancy. She wants to go have a conversation with Tina in her body bag. And she goes out into the hallway and she follows the blood trail. And now Tina's bloody bag is just being pulled by an invisible force. Like, and she's like, Tina? And I'm like, I don't think she's talking. You just saw her dead body be dragged away. And she runs around the corner, hits a girl who's clearly Freddie, like in the Freddie sweater, but it's a little girl. She's like, we need your hall pass. And she goes, fuck a hall pass. It feels very melodramatic. Like, do you know you're dreaming or not? Because if you know you're dreaming, why wouldn't you react more in the way of like, hey, dream guy, like you would know that's Freddie or that this is fake in some way. Right. Or do you not know you're dreaming? And if that's the case, is that how we're reacting to people asking for hall passes? Like,
right. In the middle of a school hallway where that seems like an applicable place.
Exactly. So she follows the body. She ends up in the boiler room. Freddie's cornered her and she sees the hot pipe and she burns herself to wake herself up, right? And when they finally show the burn, it's like the tiniest little red, just like, but like when she hits the pipe, it's like her whole forearm and smoke coming off. And then it's like, and it's not even like a blister. It's like slightly red.
Right. It looks like a bruise. It doesn't even look like anything.
I was like, well, that did not equate. Come on, makeup team. We had better in us than that. I know.
Yeah. But it is funny how when she wakes up, she's still in class and she just is like screaming and
everyone's looking at her like
runs to the back.
And even the teacher's like, "Oh my God, do you need to go home? What's happening?" Like,
right, like
I'm fine. I will get home. It's fine.
But she runs to the back of the room and starts like rolling her body on the wall. Like, what is happening? Dog, she would have been flamed had she went to my school.
Oh,
like she would have never lived that down.
Done. So so now she's at home. We jump to now she's in the bathtub and she's like dozing off. You see Freddie's glove come up.
Yeah, the famous. Legs.
Yeah. And I was like, creepy still in multiple ways now. Like, but then her mom like knocks and the hand goes down and then the mom's like, don't fall asleep. Hundreds of people die a year like that. And then she's like, Mom, go away. And she immediately falls asleep. And Freddie drags her under the water. And she's able, and this is where I'm like, proportions did not match up because it's playing like she can still see the light of the bathroom. Mm-hmm. But like when she's underwater, the hole looks like this big. But then she comes up in the tub and it's like a full-size tub for her body. And I
think that's just like dreamscape. Bigger. I think that's just like dreamscape. Like shit in my dreams. If I look too closely at things in my dreams, they don't make sense either. I mean, like they're just off a little bit. So like that to me, that didn't bother. That makes sense to me. Of like you see it in the dream and it's weird.
Yeah, she's screaming, "Mom, help! Drowning!" The mom comes. She has the hanger trying to get in the door, you know. And I just love this scene because she kind of like gets herself out of like she's awake now, so he can't drown her. And she doesn't stand up in a panic like she did in school. She stands up really calm, like, Mom, I'm fine. Put my towel on. Like, she
bitch, you
has such an attitude about it. Like, this fucker just ruined my nap. Like, ruined tub time.
and then she's like mad at her mom for being like
she's a bitch to her mom
concerned.
too. Because the mom's like, oh my God, are you okay? You were screaming. And she's like, I slept. It's fine. It's fine, Mom. I'm alive. And the mom's like, okay. Then she like goes to bed, and then the mom, this like next morning you find out Mom's a little alcoholic with her giant bottle of vodka hiding over there. And
but it's fine because it was the 80s, so she mixed it with some benzos and some quaaludes.
You know. So she's like, I don't want you to go. And she's like, I'm gonna go. You just don't believe me. Blah blah blah. Now she doesn't go right back to school. Oh yeah, the mom offers her warm milk, and I was like, "Aw, warm milk." I remember that. My mom used to make me warm milk when I was like not feeling good and stuff.
My mom would make it, and I would never drink it. It's so disgusting.
I love it. Adding honey to it when I was sick, because the warm milk sets off like a melatonin type effect and causes you to go to sleep, and then the honey will soothe your throat. Still love it. It's like my main go-to. I don't feel good. I want my warm milk and honey.
I don't like hot drinks. I don't like any hot drink that you can think of. I hate it. And the warm milk just...
It has to be like lukewarm for me. Like I have to be able to still drink it. If it burns my tongue in any way, I'm going to be like, nope, don't want it. Can't taste it. Ew.
Gross.
So,
we have 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We might need to go ahead and take our break.
This will be a good spot. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back to Johnny at the window. And action. All right, we're back. And we left off. She got out of the tub. She's now back in her room. And Johnny's at the window. He apparently lives right across the street. And he's climbed in just to check on her. He said he saw her light on and just wanted to hang out. We know he wants to. So she's like, well, since you're here, can you just watch me while I sleep? Just like wake me up if I get freaky, you know? And he's like, oh. And she's like, no, seriously, I just want to fucking sleep. So if you could just sit in that chair, shut the fuck up. Thanks. And it kind of blacks out. And then next thing you know, you're like, she's walking down the street. She's coming out of her house. And she turns back and she's like, hey, you there? And he like, I thought this was a really weird thing. Because I feel like it doesn't really translate that well. Because it's like, if she's in the dream world, is she dreaming? Like, did she like, are you there? He was like, yeah, I'm here. But like, he pops out from behind a tree. Yeah, so? And then she's like, okay, stay close. And he just kind of like goes back behind the tree. Like,
I think that's just another like absurdist dream thing.
Yeah. So then a part of me was like, is that just her mind reassuring her? Is he not actually responding? Anyway, so she proceeds forward. She's looking for Freddie at this point. Like, she's like, I'm coming for you, fucker. Which I respect my girl Nancy at this point. So I'm like, obviously he's not gonna stop, so you might as well. So she heads off. She ends up at the police station where Bad Boy's being held, and she sees Freddie fucking with him. And she immediately starts calling for Johnny's character. He's not responding. So then she's just kind of yelling. And I was kind of like, I feel like when you find the murderer, to start just screaming feels like a bad move, you know? Because he's just gonna be like, hey you. Like,
oh, you caught me. And he's gonna
I'm gonna kill you now.
Right. Either that or just be like, oh, and he's like gonna like run away.
So he does leave jail guy alone. He follows her. They have another little chasey scene. I did say the effects, but I don't remember what effects impressed me at this point. Oh, she runs back home, and he like busts. Her front door has a little tiny window, like big enough for her face, and he busts through, and it's a mask. It's supposed to be like Tina's face, but he rips off like, ha ha, it's me. But it's kind of like, it's terrible. Like, it doesn't fit at all. It's the most random rubber mask, and then they just pull off of him, you know, like, I respect the craft, but I was just like, wow, that did not hold up. That just looks
No,
hilarious. So then she's like screaming for Johnny Depp's character. He's not responding, and you're kind of like, fucking, you fell asleep on the poor girl, and now she's gonna die. She ends up, I don't even know what I wrote here. I said tossy shape. What the fuck does tossy shape mean? I'm the worst at taking notes. Okay, so he like pins her again. She ends up getting cut, but she wakes up and she immediately is like, what the fuck? You
yeah,
fell
dude's
asleep
just
on me.
asleep in the chair.
Like,
He's just
I'm
like, he's
bleeding.
like,
You asshole. She's like, yeah, I fell asleep. What about it? So no, she doesn't end up cut yet. She ends up in a nightmare. He ends up having to run out because her mom's like, are you okay? And she's like, get the fuck out of that room. And he gets pushed out the window. And the mom's like, we're going to get you some help at this point. Like,
right. Obviously, this is like a mental thing. Like,
yeah,
you're fucking crazy. Like,
yeah,
and you can't keep waking me the fuck up every night.
right.
Screaming.
So she ends up, oh no. So mom leaves the room. She ends up going back to the window. She's like, you still here? And they run to the courthouse. And it's like the middle of the fucking night. And she's like, I need to see bad boy. I need to see him now. And they're like, he's fine. Go away.
Yeah, they're like, no.
And, yeah, like,
what question
no.
is that? No.
He's sleeping. Everybody's sleeping. Why are you here? And she's kind of going nuts. And the dad's like, fine, we'll go check on him. Unfortunately, while she's begging to see him because she knows in her dream he was next, you just see the blanket coming up and wrap around his neck, and then he gets yanked. And this is a really bad cutscene because like he gets yanked on the floor. He's like, ah, on the floor, and then all of a sudden it kind of cuts where he's on the floor, but he's calm about it. He's like, oh, ah,
yeah, like he forgets.
Yeah,
like they didn't edit out the part. Like obviously they were like, okay, action, and then he was like, oh shit.
Yeah, like the edit didn't fit quite right. So that's a fun little thing to find in there. And he dies. He's getting pulled up. They see it through the door though. They're like, get me in there, and he's like, and then he dies. And so then she's like, I knew it. I knew Freddie was gonna get him. And the parents. And when she starts describing the man, because she just keeps calling him the man, and she's like, he has this claws and sweat, and you see in the parents' eyes, they're looking at each other like, oh shit, she knows something. So right. You know the parents know something now. But at this point, the dad's like, look, just take her home to go to bed. And the mom's like, no, I'm getting her help.
Where? It's like midnight. Right? Where are you going?
The dad's just standing there like, all right, that works too.
Yeah, whatever. Just get her out of my face. You're
right.
supposed
Like,
to
just
deal
get her out
with
of here.
Her.
This is very traumatic. She's now seen 2 friends die. So mom takes her to a sleep study. And at first she's like, no, don't make me fucking go to sleep. And they're like, just do this, please. Just trust us. And she's like, fine. Which I would be too. I'm like, I'm at least surrounded by people. One of you fuckers will wake me up. So sure, right. I'll take the 20-minute nap.
She does ask if they can give her something that makes it so that she doesn't dream.
Oh,
which
yeah.
would solve, the problem of
yeah, like
falling.
Just make it so I can't dream. And he's like, well, silly, we can't do that. You have to dream or you go nutty.
Yeah, you go crazy if you don't dream, which is
which I was like, I don't think that's scientifically right.
No, scientifically that's not true.
Yeah.
At all.
So they go, she's falling asleep. And this though, you don't go into her dream world. You see the doctor talking to the mom, and he's just telling her heart rate's a little high. Here's the dream index. Like we can see she's hitting REM now. And all of a sudden her vitals and stuff go off the charts. And he's like, shit, that's not supposed to be happening. And this is where she wakes up screaming with the cuts on her arms, and she has Freddie's hat. And the mom's like, where'd you get that hat? And she's like, I grabbed it off of him. And then it cuts to them at home, and the mom's trying to hide the hat, that she's on the phone talking shit, and her vodka bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And she even tells her, like, I threw it away. I don't even know where you got that hat. And I was like, I don't know, man. It's pretty great how humans' ability to just like cognitive dissonance.
Yeah,
like,
rationalize.
You know she didn't get that hat from anywhere. You saw her get in that bed with fucking nothing and have a dream and now have a fucking hat.
But they rationalize.
You're still gonna go, now, like, you did that, you hid that up your butt and pulled it out, apparently. Like,
Right.
so the daughter's offended at this point. She's like, just fuck you, mom, and your alcoholic. Yo, you just want me to dissociate like you do with a fucking bottle? And she throws her vodka bottle on the ground, right? And she takes the hat, and I love how she's showing. She's like, it has a tag. It says his name is Frederick Krueger, but there's no tag there. Like, there's nothing
it's
that
just
says
empty.
his name. There's no tag. She's like, look at the tag. Look at it, mom. And there's no tag. And they're just having this really melodramatic moment, like, just
Yelling at each other.
It's the most like hallmarky scene of just the acting is just, you know. So she ends up running off mad at her mom. And then what does she do next? I forget what she does next. She like runs off, but then comes back. Maybe goes to school, maybe comes back. It kind of cutscenes it again. But now mom is drunk. Like, she went off to get something. She comes back. Mom's hair is all frizzled, like, and carrying the bottle. She's like, you want to know things? Come with me. She's going down to the cellar. And my immediately thought was, no, bitch, you're not locking me in a cellar because you think I'm crazy. Like, I would have been out. I would not have followed my mother.
You can bring it up here. Whatever you want to show me, you can bring it up here.
Let me know. I don't need to be in a cellar for you to tell me this. But she does follow her down, and the mom's not there to lock her in. You just find out that Frederick Krueger was a pedophile in the area, and they fucked up his, like, paperwork, and he got off scot-free, so the parents in the area decided to just burn him to death. And she kept his glove. And she was like, oh my god, you guys didn't
and apparently
he's not dead.
Apparently this is something that happened, and like their generation, like Tina's and Nancy's generation, just didn't remember this at all. And I know this is like the age before like the internet, and the speed we get information is so quick, but you're telling me that like there was apparently a pedophile in the same realm as your children were actual children.
Yeah.
But none of these children knew that anything had happened.
Like, multiple went missing. Now, I mean, I will say, I can believe, I mean, if she was like, if it was happening when she was like 5 or 6, you wouldn't necessarily really hold on to those memories of just like, you may have noticed, oh, my friends are kind of missing. Mommy and daddy seem upset. But like, clearly her parents end up getting divorced. She's now like almost an adult. I do love how when she's sleepy, she goes, I look like I'm 20. I was like, oh, that's your old? God. That hurt a little. Rude.
I know, like, excuse me.
Right? Like, yeah. So, but yeah, I could see how they wouldn't necessarily, like, if it happened presumably when she was incredibly young.
Yeah,
now,
and if
they were going with, oh, this happened, 6 years ago when you were 10, then I'd be more skeptical. Like, the 10-year-old didn't see 20 of her classmates disappear. This is clearly like small town vibes. You all know each other. Like,
yeah, I guess if it wasn't like your like best friend or something, or maybe if they were like older than you in a different class, in a different grade, then maybe, I don't know. But that was always, every time I watch it, I'm like, because the timing, they don't ever explain like specifically the timing. The timing seems off, where I'm like, when?
Yeah, you are kind of like, okay, so was she alive or was this before her? Like,
right, you're saying parents, and she's the only child. So you had like, but was she a bait? Like, the timing just doesn't make sense to me.
For sure, I do wish they would like have delved deeper into that, but
I'm sure if we looked at the wiki, it would explain it in detail. But like, if you're just basing off of the movie, then it's like, okay.
So they set him on fire. Okay, so now we jump screen. We go to Johnny's house. And can I say, Johnny in a crop top, pulling it off. And I also notice, it's kind of funny to me, the dude, the older dads now being like, oh, boys are dressing so feminine these days. Oh, and I'm like,
what are you talking about?
Do we not see your glam rock? Do you think we don't see that? Do you
Did
think we don't
everyone-
see your crop tops? Y'all had this.
Did
Like, it
everyone
feels very
collectively
hypocritical. Like,
everyone collectively forgot Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch? Like
Right?
everyone forgot them.
or
like
Kiss. Nobody remembers
Kiss.
Kiss. Like,
Y'all were wearing platforms.
Gene Simmons
Okay.
was your ultimate with his fucking leotard and makeup.
Male perfection.
Come on.
Male perfection. And
Every
Axl
one of
Rose,
those fuckers was wearing makeup
get
in
out
the
of here.
80s. All of them with their perms and shit. Like, come on.
Get out. And the tightest pants you could possibly
Right?
slide
Even
up your
Johnny's
legs.
sweatpants in this movie are tight. They are tight sweatpants. So he's at home jamming on his record player and his tiny TV on his bed. And at this point, Nancy's mom has put bars on her windows and doors. So she's like locked into her home like a fucking nutter.
Okay. All right, listen. Okay. So I first started having I used to have night terrors, like as bad as was in the thing, except for I never came out of it with any marks that I didn't do myself. But I also used to sleepwalk really bad.
Ooh.
And there was a time in my house where every single door, the door to my room and all of the doors to the outside and the door, I think, to the bathroom had chains on them to lock me in because I was that bitch that was
Look, man,
trying to.
at least
So
your
I get
parents
it.
were discreet about it. You know, you
If
had
they
little
could have put
chains
up,
in your door.
if they could have bars on my
Bars
window, they
on?
probably
Oh
would
my God.
have.
It looked insane because they're in this like bright suburban area. They have the brightest, whitest house, and then like black bars on even the tiny face window on the door.
Every
Barred that up
window.
too, just in case Nancy was trying to squeeze out. Like, so Nancy ends up calling him because they can see each other through their windows. Once again, he's only just across the street, and she's like, "Can you please? I know how to get him. I know I can get him into our realm. I got his hat. Meet me at midnight. Don't fall asleep. Neither of us fall asleep. Meet me at fucking midnight." And he's like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do?" And she's like, "I don't know. You're the jock. Bring a bat or something." And he's just like, ugh. Like, he is so bothered by her. But you can tell he's like, "But I don't want to get laid, so I guess I'm bringing a bat." Like,
Everything,
he doesn't believe her at all.
Everyone in this movie, everything that they're asked to do is such a major inconvenience. They're pissed about everything. They're like, don't ask
everything
me
is like,
for
bitch, if you
shit.
could just calm down. So while that's happening, while she's on the phone kind of begging him to just meet her at midnight, he's like, yeah, all right. Do you see the dad is downstairs looking up at her house, and the mom comes down. Oh no, first he goes and lays in the bed. He does fucking fall asleep, and the mom walks in and she's like, hey, what are you awake? Like, clearly wakes him up. And then she's like, how are you watching TV and listening to music? He was like, well, I'm not listening to TV, I'm watching the TV. It's nude models, mom. And she's like, well, don't you want to hear what they have to say? He's like, does it matter? And I was like, first of all, I'd slap the shit out of my son to say, of course it matters. If you're gonna watch a woman, you listen to the fucking woman, okay? Like, what?
That is the funniest.
And then she's just like, like, she even rubs his head like he's a fucking toddler. Oh, get some sleep, son. Like, and then I was in that moment, so I was like, one, very inappropriate conversation, dumb thing to say to your mom. Two, bitch, you woke him up. He was asleep. If you
he wasn't watching or listening to anything.
Why didn't you just quietly take his headphones off and move his TV and tuck him in? Why'd you wake him up just to go, hey, you need to go to bed? He was in bed. He was asleep. Like, so then she goes downstairs to the dad who's watching Nancy's house. And he's like, that girl's crazy. Look at the fucking bars. And she's like, she's not crazy. She's just going through some things. And
dealing
like,
with some stuff.
I don't care. She's not coming near my fucking son. Okay. So at this point, it's almost midnight and Nancy's like pacing around and she calls over to Johnny's house, right? And this part got me too. So his mom answers the phone because of course he is asleep. It's fucking midnight. His mom answers the phone, right? And she's, I personally would be like, bitch, what are you calling my house at this hour for? It better be, are you dying? You better tell me you're fucking dying.
For the people who didn't grow up with a house phone with a landline, this was like so taboo. You did not call.
So taboo. What
if
are
you did,
doing
like
right
we
now?
had we had ways of doing it. Like my best friend Tella would like, and my boyfriend at the time would like call and let it ring one time and then hang up immediately, and then that
Yes.
was the
Yeah,
code
so then you
for
can
like
sneak
call
in
me
and like
back.
call them back. Yes. This was so I was even expecting her to do that, like when the mom picks up, for her to be like, shit,
Hang up.
like,
Yeah.
no.
She doesn't.
The audacity of Nancy goes, can I speak to him? And they're like, and the mom looks at the husband like, she wants to speak to him. Like,
Yeah.
this bitch can't make a decision to save her life. And the husband's like, for what? And she goes, why do you want to talk? Like, this mom is the most useless woman I've ever seen in my life. She's more useless than the drunk mother. So she's like, and she has the nerve to go, she says it's private.
Well, she said it was important or something.
She did say it was important, but also
important.
very private.
It's
and
very
she can't
private.
tell him. And I was like, that takes balls to call someone's house, to call the lady of the house
at midnight.
I want to speak to your son at fucking midnight, and then be like, don't worry about it. It's important. But like, don't fucking worry about it. Like, the audacity, Nancy.
Bitch,
Nancy. Like, so of course the dad's like, fucking no. And he's like, don't fucking call her again, hangs up on her, and then even takes the phone off the hook so she can't get through. Right. Because back in the day, if you took your phone off the hook, the line would have just remained busy. You couldn't get it. Or
if you hooked up to the internet at any point, you couldn't get through.
Well, this is 84. They didn't have internet.
That's true.
So now Nancy's like, fuck. He fell asleep. Fuck. And she wants to get out of the house because she knows he's gonna fucking die. But the mom is drunk on the couch. She's like, I got the key. You can't get out. Like, and she's like, where's the fucking key, mom? And she's like, I'm not telling you. Like, and then it cuts over to Johnny's asleep on the bed, and the famous bed scene. He gets sucked in, and then all of a sudden, blood just comes spurting out
everywhere
onto the roof,
like a geyser.
And it's so cool because you could tell this was like a room they turned upside down and then had the blood going, and then thematically flipped it so it looked like it was all coming up. And there's just really cool scene where you can kind of tell because the way the blood's flowing when the mom's like screaming and stuff, like she goes up to his room and she's like, ah! And it's such a fucking cool scene. It's so cool. Like,
really innovative for the time frame.
Yeah. So then of course cop dad shows up with everybody because there's just like blood everywhere. It's even leaking from like the roof.
Yep.
They're having to put buckets down. And he looks over and he sees Nancy like in the bars, and he's like, well, at least she's safe. So she calls the house and gets a hold of her dad, and she's like, look, I know who did it. I can get the man. Just come over here in 20 minutes. Promise me you'll come over here in 20 minutes. And he's like, I mean, yeah, I promise if you just go to bed, right? And she's like, just promise me you're coming. He's like, yes, I'm coming. You crazy bitch. So then and at this point, even I was like, I don't know, Nancy. I don't think he's coming. I don't think your idea is going to work, hun. But she's been awake for 7 days. Bitch is struggling. Okay.
Yeah, no.
So she decides she's going in. She's going after Freddie. And the dad is like, hey, deputy, go watch the house, right? So before she goes in, she goes full Home Alone. And this is Home Alone before Home Alone. This might be where Home Alone got the idea. Booby trapping, everything. Puts up a hammer, like, and then decides she goes lay down. She's now dreaming, and she's trying to lure him out. I love how when she's like in the dream world and she gets to his boiler room and he starts chasing her, and she's like, she goes, you'll never catch me, and like just jumps and like ends up jumping out of her window onto the front yard, like, and then gets mad because then she's like, oh, where is he? I'm running out of time. And I'm like, well, why'd you run away from him? Like, what? If you needed to grab him, why'd you jump in a hole? That doesn't make sense.
Right.
But he does. He pops right back up, and she grabs him just in the nick of time, and she wakes up in her bed, but he's not there. So then she kind of has a moment of like, shit, it didn't work. And then he pops up, and the shenanigans begin as he runs into every booby trap. Like, he gets set on fire, the hammer comes down and hits him in the nuts, like, and it's just funny. So then she's running through the house trying to get away from him, but she's like banging on the windows and breaking the windows, trying to be like, Dad, get your ass over here. I got him, you know?
Right, because she's still locked in the fucking house.
Yeah.
You pulled the murderer into your home and you're all locked in together.
She sets him on fire near her mother, who is presumably still passed out on the couch, right? Like, so she's like screaming and breaking windows and stuff, and the deputy's ass is standing across the street going, maybe I should tell somebody. Like, you see the girl screaming in the window and you have to think about it. Maybe you should tell someone.
At this point, the whole town just thinks she's fucking nuts. Yeah. So he's like, there she goes. Crazy Nancy breaking her own windows.
The ableism was so real. So then he goes and gets the dad. The dad sees her screaming, like, hand out the window, save me, he's coming. And they kick in the door and they go searching for him. He's nowhere to be found. And she's like, fuck, he was here. I set him on fire. Like, her house is on fire.
There's like
fire for sure.
But it's like weird. It's like weird. There's like pockets. There's like little pockets of fire. Yeah. Like it looks like little like piles of like books or timber or something were like set on fire. Like
it made me feel like there was like footprints. Yeah. Like where he walked, you know? Yeah. But it doesn't make sense that way because it was definitely like a fireball happened, you know? Yeah. Like, so then
they go. I think she goes upstairs.
Yeah, she goes back.
She leads them upstairs, but she leads them around in a really weird way. Like she's like tiptoeing around the fire and like sliding against the wall and up against the stairs, and then she turns and goes upstairs, and her dad is just like, "Hey, yo, what the fuck?" And he just like walks straight.
Yeah, he's like, "Why the fuck am I here? You just set everything on fire." So she goes up to her room, and then like the sheet comes up, and he pops out and grabs her. Right.
I don't think does he grab her or does he just do they go into the mom's room?
Oh no, and the guy go in the mom's room, and the mom's like a burnt skeleton being sucked into the bed.
See him on her. He's on top of the mom, and the dad's reaction is not let me get this guy off of her. His reaction is just to throw a blanket over him and then just like dog on top of all three of them are just on the bed. And then he gets off the bed and Nancy's like, he's still there. He's still on her. Like he's there. Get him. And they pull the blanket off. And then it's just a burnt skeleton of the mom.
Presumably it's her mom. And then it gets sucked in, like lights under bed, sucked in.
Yeah, it's just like into the demon
And then she's like, do you believe me now? And the dad doesn't really respond. He's just kind of staring at things. And then she leaves. And then it's like she walks through a door.
Right.
And they're out. She's with her mom, and her mom's like, I'm going to give up drinking. And she's kind of, it's like at first she's confused, but then there's a part of her that's like, oh, my life's just back, right?
Right.
My friends are pulling up. I'm going to go get in the car. And they get in. Oh my God, we have to backtrack real quick. Before she implements her plan to like get Freddie, she does go say like a goodbye to her mom, who's upstairs. Now, that's right. She was upstairs. She wasn't still on the couch. And when the mom's talking, she's like, Nancy, you're a fighter. It's been in you. Oh, yeah. And she just pulls the bottle out of fucking nowhere. Like she was just laying on it or something. Like this giant vodka bottle. It's not even like a little flask. It's a huge fucking bottle.
Yeah,
it's like, Nancy.
It's a handle.
Together.
It's a handle of vodka that she's just sleeping in the bed with.
Yeah. And then, but I'm like, the advice everyone keeps giving her is to run away. Like, don't fight. And I'm just like, it doesn't feel like good advice, guys. Like, no part of me is watching this going, yeah, Nancy, just run away. You know, like you have to try to fight because you can't run away. It's your fucking dreams. So now Nancy's out. She sees her friends. She gets in the car with them. And then the top pulls up and it's striped like his sweater and the windows. And she's like, I'm trapped. Oh, God. And then the car drives away, and you just know Freddie got him.
And as it's driving away, you see like her house, and there's like a lady standing there. Her mom is standing there with a little girl, Oh,
Yeah.
I presume it's supposed to be Nancy when she was little, and Nancy starts freaking out. That's initially what freaks her out, and then she realizes what's happening, and she's driving away.
Yeah.
And as they're driving away, you can see the mom and the little girl, and the mom is like waving, and
Yeah.
she's
She's
like,
like,
"Yeah, it's gonna be
"Bye."
great." And then all of a sudden, the mom's body is yanked through the little
Just
window in
yeet it.
the door.
The tiny window. Just like, this is nice. Wow, the creepy girls are singing the 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
Yes,
Yoink! And
yoinked
it's,
her in
first of
there.
all, terrible. It's clearly a dummy. Like,
It's-
clearly a dummy. It's go. I'm recording. So yeah, and that's the end of the movie. So Nancy did not make it. There was no girl survivor.
Yeah, there's no
Or
final
she should
girl.
have. It was bullshit. She
Yep.
should have made it. She fought hard. We respect Nancy. I respect Nancy. I never looked at her as a idiot character where I was like, oh fucking A. They did it again. They
Yeah.
made me embarrassed to be a female. Like,
Yeah.
Nancy's tough and she wanted to get shit done. And she seemed to be the only person willing to get shit done. So great movie. But now I'm
Mhm.
sure you're all wondering, bitch, how in the world is this a true story? Where was this ever a true story? Because I even told my dad, and that was his exact reaction. Belinda, get serious. There's no way.
That
this
was
is a true
B.
story.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
I told B what movie we
Fucking
were
how?
doing, he was like, "What?"
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. So we got to rewind it a little. Back to technically 1977 when it started, but it really peaked between 80 and 82, where there was a war happening in Southeast Asia, and when that war ended, communism had won, took it over. Mm-hmm. So America made it so that Vietnamese, mm-hmm. I'm going to say this so wrong, Laotian, people from
Laotian,
Laos, yeah, and then Cambodian mm-hmm. refugees could come in because they had helped us a lot and in that war, so they were like, come on over, get out, because the communist parties were trying to kill them, especially in Laos. There was this group of people called I'm gonna also butcher this word, the Nong, like it has an H in it, but you don't pronounce the H. Mm-hmm. So they're an even smaller community within Laos, and they kept it pretty tight knit. Like while everything was growing around them, they kept private, like just mm-hmm. to themselves. And they were a very spiritual community, and they believed all people had multiple spirits in them, and you had to give to the spirits, and you had mm-hmm. shaman for this. But unfortunately, when you're a refugee and murder's happening all around you, not all your shamans are going to make it. And they were especially hunted because they helped the CIA a lot in trying to fight the war. So when they came over, you had these really scarred people, especially the men, who had just got out of the horrors of war. Now you're in a completely new country where at this time you had to assimilate. There was no national pride other than American national pride. Right. And you had people pretty much having to give up their religions to just be Christian, mm-hmm. learn your English, do it the right way, which also caused a lot of stress on them. So when scientists look at this case, they really see it as like they were so mentally broken that their hearts couldn't take it. But what mm-hmm. was happening, and it was 117 cases of these Laotian people, mostly men, usually between the ages of 25 and 33. And they would start having nightmares, and they would describe it. So some described it as an old woman crawling up and sitting on their chest. Others described it as just a dark figure. But while this thing was
sleep paralysis,
pretty much sleep paralysis, sleep demon. They called it the dab song was their demon specifically. Mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. this demon came to you when you were not properly respecting the spiritual world, which was what was happening. And they came after head of household. That's why it was mostly men, or they believed it was mostly men, because the dub song came after head of household who was not correctly spiritually following the belief system.
Gotcha.
And they described it as something sitting on their chest, and they'd wake up screaming. and they couldn't breathe, they couldn't move, and they were definitely dying. So it was causing a lot of them to like immediately go find a shaman if they could, but the ones who ignored it actually died. And all the autopsies were like, I don't know, man, their heart just stopped. So then you had a couple scientists actually studying it, where they pretty much just came to terms of like that these people just scared themselves to death, that they were so into their belief system that even the thought of that just scared them to death, even though these were young, healthy men.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a short story, but that's what, and even the New York Times covered it, and it hasn't really happened since. It was just that one period of time, and that small group of refugees. They all died within 2 years. Not all of them. Some of them did live, but the ones who died within 2 years of showing up. Like the pattern was just fucking, which is crazy. So then
That is wild.
Wes Craven saw the article in the New York Times, and that's what led him to write about Freddie. So, and it is crazy because there is, to me, where I'm like, I've definitely had sleep paralysis, and I definitely believe in the paranormal, and that every culture has some type of sleep paralysis demon type thing. And to me, I feel like that's enough for us to kind of be like, I don't know, man. If you scientists can't really look at me and actually say, no, this is exactly what happened in your body, because you're not. You're saying we think these things happened, which led to this. To me, I'm like, but then it could also be, I think it's a demon. So, you know.
I mean, maybe I had like I have sleep paralysis, but I only if I go to sleep, try to go to sleep a certain way, then it will happen 100% of the time. Like I've tested it of like going like laying down differently. If I lay flat on my back with my legs like straight out, and that's how I go to sleep, I will have sleep paralysis, and I can feel it happening to me before I'm actually fully asleep. It starts in my feet and it like comes up my body of like not being able to move, but still being aware that it's happening.
Yeah.
So then I can just like roll over and be like, no,
Not
you
today,
can't have me
demons.
tonight. Like, nope, nope, nope.
I never could. I had it all through my teens, even early 20s. Really bad when I was pregnant. But since after having kids, I actually have not had any. I have a lot more lucid dreams now. But the sleep paralysis was fucking hell. And there
Yeah,
was
it's awful.
you definitely see shit.
Yeah,
And
100%.
I have one. So when I lived in Virginia Beach, I was having a sleep paralysis moment. I had them a lot. But in my room, there was an extra dark spot just lingering
Oh, I
over,
hate
right?
that.
And once again, happened a lot. I was taught to just tell it to fuck off, and
Right. Yeah.
it'll go away. Pray to God. You know, I have a Christian family, so I would pray, tell it to go away. I'd kind of go back to sleep. It freaked me out, but never like I could still breathe and stuff. But then, like the next day or a couple days later, I don't remember when, but my mom goes, "Have you been feeling weird in your room?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I always have nightmares where I see dark things." And she goes, "I had a dream that I came up in your room and you were stuck staring at the wall, and there was a big dark creature, and I threw holy water at him and prayed at him and made him go away. How have you been sleeping now?" And I was like, I still kind of feel like something's there, but I haven't had that dream since. And it was just such a moment of like, yeah, because that fucking happened. Like, weird.
Like you could have just not told me that. Like you didn't have to tell me
Sorry.
that happened. No, but like your mom, like
Oh no.
if
Honestly, it always made me feel really validated when my mom did come back with being like, "Are you going through something? Because I'm having dreams." And then I could be like, "Yes, yes, I am." Like, she also predicted my sister's pregnancies pretty accurately. She would dream of fish, and my
I've
sister
done that
would be
before.
pregnant.
Yeah, no, I did that. I knew I was pregnant before I was pregnant because of
I
the dreams that I was having. And I tend to have me and B both have really bad deja vu.
mm,
And he fully believes his is linked to like just plain anxiety. But every single time I've ever had deja vu has been a moment in my life where I'm about to make a decision. Like I'm at like a crossroads. So like I'm about to make a decision that could affect my life as a whole and like what path I'm gonna go down. I've always had that deja vu. And like I've always been able to like walk into a place or even just look at a house or a building from like across the road and been like, we're not going in there. We're not going
For
in
sure.
there at all.
Oh, for
No.
sure. Like,
We're not doing it. And
yeah.
like my
No,
house
no.
that I grew up in, 100% haunted.
Oh, yeah.
100% haunted. I will never sleep in that house
Which
ever
was
again.
so crazy. Because I think like the house I spent the most time in when I was little was my grandparents.
Did you just hear that?
No. What happened?
One of my pictures just fell off the wall.
Creepy. No, my grandparents' house did creep me out, but I don't remember actually seeing anything there. But when I grew up, I don't want to see the city, but where I mainly grew up with my parents, it was a new build. The whole neighborhood was new build. Like, but it was haunted as fuck.
What's
Like,
the land? Like,
yeah, obviously. But it was just like, oh my God. There was so many like cats. I had a white cat that was always going around a corner. I had a creepy chick. Oh, we don't have enough time for that story. We only have like a minute
yeah,
left.
no, thank you.
So that will be a creepy story for next time I pull out a horror story for us.
Maybe if we're not recording at 10 o'clock at night. With my pictures now falling off of the wall.
Go ahead
as
and
we're
go get
talking
some
about
olive
this.
oil, put little crosses.
Oh, this house
Say a
is
little
fully
prayer.
anointed. Don't fuck no.
Yeah,
This
I
no.
will.
Mm-mm.
Always got to re-anoint. So when my mom's like, you got to stop watching those shows and stuff. You just invited in. I was like, we can re-anoint. It's fine. All right, guys.
All right,
Thanks for
dude.
watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye.